They say that in Kansas City, if these walls could talk, they'd probably ask for a cocktail and a seat at the piano. But here at 2000 East 12th Street, the walls don't just talk. They whisper about a fortune built on worthless dirt and the girl who owned it all before she was even old enough to drive. I'd like to welcome everybody right here to the Rector Mansion. It looks a bit like a sleeping giant right now, tucked behind plywood and memories, but back in the 1920s, this was the epicenter of black royalty. The woman of the house, Sarah Rector. To the press, she was the richest black girl in America. To the government that tried to manage her, she was a logistical headache. To the soil of Oklahoma, she was a miracle. Now, Sarah didn't start out with the silver spoon. She started with the dusty allotment of 160 acres in Glenpool, Oklahoma. It was inferior soil, the kind of land the government gave to descendants of the Muskogee Nation because they figured you couldn't grow a weed on it, let alone a legacy. But the universe has a sense of humor, doesn't it? In 1913, an oil driller named B.B. Jones hit a vein, and suddenly, Sarah's worthless dirt was coughing up 2,000 barrels of crude oil a day. At 12 years old, she was making $300 a day. In 1913, that wasn't just lunch money. That was an empire. And by the age of 18, she was worth $1 million. She traded the Oklahoma dust for this stone 4 square in Kansas City. Imagine it, the smell of expensive perfume and Sunday roast drifting through these halls. Duke Ellington and Count Basie didn't just play nearby. They sat in this living room right here. Sarah lived large and out loud, driving fine cars and wearing the kind of clothes that made the neighborhood tilt its head. But houses, like fortunes, have seasons. The Great Depression was a cold winter for Sarah, and the wealth that flowed like oil eventually thinned out. She moved on, and the house began a second life. First, this house became a funeral home. Then it sat as offices until finally it fell into a deep sleep. Copper thieves took the wiring and pigeons took over the attic, turning this monument into an expensive birdhouse. And if you look at the top, it kind of looks like that too. Now today, the United Intercity Services is trying to wake the giant. The murals on the windows, they aren't just there to hide the blight. They're a symbolic splash of color to remind the neighborhood that Sarah is still here. They want to turn this into a museum or an economic incubator. A place where the next generation of Sarah Rectors can learn how to turn their own inferior soil into gold. It's been a slow climb. Renovating history is never as fast as drilling a well. But as you look at these faces painted on the plywood, you realize Sarah Rector didn't just leave behind a house. She left a blueprint for what happens when the world underestimates you and the ground beneath your feet proves them wrong. But this your boy Mack Malone, the KC journalist, reporting from 12th and Euclid, where the history is deep and the oil is still, metaphorically, at least under our feet. Signing out. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Let's go. Mack Malone, he's your KC journalist. Mack Malone, he's your KC journalist. Mack Malone, he's your KC journalist. And I will get the best from that KC journalist.